The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air.
King Artaxerxes,
What is it today?
my lord, I am a messenger from the Judean province. I've come to bring you a letter. They say it's urgent.
A message from the Judean province? Fine, read it.
It reads, "To King Artaxerxes, your servants, the men of the region beyond the Euphrates River, let it be known to the king that the Jews who have come up from us at Jerusalem, they are rebuilding the rebellious and evil city and are finishing the walls and repairing the foundation. Now, let it be known to the king that if that city is rebuilt and the walls are finished, they will not pay tribute, custom, tax, or toll, and it will be detrimental to the revenue of the kings. Now, because we are in the service of the palace, and it is not fitting for us to see the king's shame, for this reason we have sent word and informed the king, so that a search may be conducted in the record books of your fathers, and you will discover in the record books that this city is a rebellious city and detrimental to kings and provinces, and that they have revolted within it in past days. For this reason, that city was laid waste. We are informing the king that if that city is rebuilt and the walls finished, then as a result of this, you will have no possession in the province beyond the Euphrates River." This ends the reading, my lord.
This is quite a pickle we have ourselves in. I just gave them permission to rebuild and return to their hometown. Before I make any judgment, let us search the records and see if what is said is true. The temple reconstruction has commenced, but however, in this episode, we will unravel the intricate threads of Ezra chapters 3 and 4, where resilience meets resistance on the road to restoration. As always, be blessed and enjoy.
All right, welcome back to another episode of a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts,
Nakhaz Gay.
Earl Roberts. Definitely appreciate everyone for tuning in again this week. Oh, this one is actually coming out after Thanksgiving. So hopefully everyone out there enjoyed some form of Thanksgiving meal, whether you cooked, whether you watched someone cook, and hopefully you enjoyed whatever you ate.
Yeah, hopefully.
But yeah, man, in the spirit of thanks, I mean, it's always, we actually haven't, well, we didn't do a Thanksgiving episode this year naturally because we honestly just crossed my mind. What's actually funny, I thought about that earlier this week, and then the thought just left my head. It's like one of those things like where you don't send the message in that moment and something else just consumes your thought. I remember it at work. I was like, oh, I'll text Cass. Like, maybe we should do something. I was like, oh. And then I got busy.
Yeah. I feel like that sometimes.
I feel like that a lot of times. Oh, why? But I mean, God has been great. I mean, throughout it all, hopefully everyone during this season, whether you're Bahamian American or all of the many other countries that listen to us, hopefully you found some time of reflection just to think about the goodness of God. And it doesn't necessarily have to be during this time, but I mean, it's called Thanksgiving. So usually it's a good time for a reflection. Good time to see. I mean, like we're nearing the end of the year. I mean, at this point, November is done. We have about a half week left in November when you guys are listening to this. Well, not a full week. But then literally the next episode, we're going to be on December 1st. So, you know, we're getting down to that time of the year. So hopefully everyone is just, you know, in a good mood, not too pressed, but, you know, just appreciating God's goodness. That's big. That's big. Man,
Yeah.
I was even thinking like this week too again, like man, even in a year, how like how good God has been, even in ways you don't like think. Because it's so easy on the day to day to not really notice the blessings that are happening. But when you look at it on a 6 month span or a 7 month span, you're like, whoa, like, yo, that's where I was like a couple months ago. And I'm in a better position now. And some people might be going through their valley season, but it's not all mountain peaks and it's not all valleys. Like sometimes God's bringing you through a struggle to set you up for better, which you honestly don't know in the valley. But keep on trusting God, and He'll keep on continuing to bless you, even when we quite honestly don't deserve it, because Lord knows we ain't all perfect beings. You got anything to add, man?
Not really, bro. I mean, God is good. Good to be around. We adopted this American holiday, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Good to be around your family. I like the the culture of it. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, the origin of it. Staunchly against the culture that we receive as 21st century human beings, like of eating, and being around family. I think that's good because other than that, it ain't too much things that is really tether you to your family through the year. You know what I'm saying? Like Christmas, that's another one. A lot of it's kind of polarizing of holiday. Most people just love it. Some people are staunchly against that as well. But when is another time, excuse me, that you would come together with your family, or that you would actually make an effort? Like my family in Atlanta, some of my cousins that I haven't seen in a long time decided to come in town. I can't make it, but if I could, it was in my intention to go up there, but I can't make it. But other than that, you would think a wedding, like they couldn't make it to my wedding, so it's like, when am I going to see these people? You know what I'm saying? Like when am I going to see them? Because it's like, so it's like stuff like the culture around, just being thankful, brings people together. It's a text in Ecclesiastes. Oh man, I'm trying to just get this on the fly. I think it's maybe the last verse in Ecclesiastes. And it's basically saying, after you say everything, no, it ain't the last one. Anyway, basically, it's a text. I'm paraphrasing, but in that book, he talk about how everything is a chasing after the wind. You know what I'm saying? But the author turned around and say like one of the valuable things in life. You know what I'm saying? Is like being around family. You know what I'm saying? Like spending time with your family, and that's one thing that kind of touched me in that book. I don't think it's the last chapter, but if I find it, I'll mention that another time. But yeah, man, like after saying how everything is vanity, it's like you get rich is vanity, you could be poor is vanity. You know what I'm saying? You could invest, you could do all these things, but nothing really matter. You turn around and say family matter. I was like, boy, I didn't really expect that, but God is good. So,
Amen.
yeah.
Amen. So this week we are in the book of Ezra. We started last week. We went through Ezra 1 and Ezra 2, which was 70 verses. Was a
Don't forget that part, eh?
no, don't forget that part. It was a task. We made it through. Another blessing of God. And so this week we are in Ezra chapter 3. We're probably gonna go through chapters 3 and 4 just as a background. So in the book of Ezra, like we mentioned last week, it sets place after the Babylonian Empire when the king of Persia, Medo-Persia, but we're just gonna say Persia because we're just gonna call him Persia. The king of Persia, Cyrus. Oh, was it Cyrus? It was Cyrus.
It was
Or was it
Artaxerxes.
Artaxerxes? See, too many rulers.
Yeah.
So yeah, he ordered a decree that they can go back. to their land and rebuild their temple, and they were led by Zerubbabel. And so now Zerubbabel is leading that effort. So now we are in chapter 3, verse 1. And in when the 7th month had come, the children of Israel were in the cities. The people gathered together as one man to Jerusalem. Then Jeshua, the son of Jezadak, and his brethren, the priests, and Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, and his brethren arose and built the altar of God of Israel to offer burnt offerings on it, as it was written in the law of Moses, the man of God. Though fear had come upon them because of the people of those countries, that they set the altar on its bases and they offered burnt offerings on it to the Lord, both morning and burnt offerings and evening burnt offerings. They also kept the Feast of Tabernacles, as it is written, and they offered the daily burnt offerings in the number required by the ordinance for each day. Afterwards, they offered the regular burnt offering, and those for the new moons and for the appointed feasts of the Lord that were consecrated, and those of everyone who willingly offered a free will offering to the Lord. From the first day of the 7th month, they began to offer burnt offerings to the Lord, although the foundation of the temple of the Lord had not been laid. They also gave money to the masons, the carpenters, and food, drink, and oil to the people of Sidon and Tyre, to bring cedar logs from Lebanon to Joppa, according to the permission which they had from Cyrus, king of Persia.
Bro, you could see that the people, the surrounding cities, did not like the Jews, bro. You could see that. So the king permits y'all to come back, and y'all can't even build an altar in peace. You know what I'm saying? Because it's because of the tensions of everyone around y'all. You know, I just found that to be kind of interesting, bro. Y'all wasn't even around. Like all right, whatever we had in the past, bro. I don't go into exile and come back now, bro. Like, what's the big deal? You know? But yeah, I know. So they built their altar, you know. There was some smoke, so they had to build it. They had to put it in a certain way. And now they they trying to get all of their resources together so that they can set down the foundation of the temple.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting too. Like the first thing they do was the altar, and it has its importance, right? Because think about it, you've been in exile for X amount of years now, under Babylonian captivity now, under Persian captivity. And I mean, the altar was how sin was dealt with, was how they offered sacrifices to atone for their sins. So even before this temple was even like rebuilt or repaired or however you want to say it, they haven't been atoning for their sins by the law of Moses for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, yo, even before we get even before we get figure out how we're going to rebuild this temple, one thing we could do right now, and that's like, let's rebuild the altar. Let's start doing what we know we should be doing. Let's start offering these sacrifices daily. Let's start keeping these feasts and festivals that we haven't been doing for a while. Let's start doing what we can now, even though we know what we're trying to get to. But there's certain things right now we can do, because an altar, I wouldn't say it's hard. It's not hard to build, but I mean, let's be honest. It's just stacking some rocks together. You know what I'm saying? Let's do what we can do now, and especially because of the importance of it. Like, let's start atoning for ourselves, getting ourselves right with God. So I think that's really important, and even something like just to point out why build the altar first.
Yeah. So even though they was afraid, they built it. But like you say, y'all was in exile for however many years, and y'all couldn't atone for y'all sins. You know, that probably was eating at them. It would have been eating at me. You know what I'm saying? So that seems like the right thing to do. Like, as your first order of business, let's offer sacrifices to God straight up.
And it's like they said they built it on its base. It's almost hinting that like they went to the original spot where the altar used to be and rebuilt the altar where it was and where it should be. Like they're like, all right, this is where the altar is. This is the spot for the altar. We're putting it right back where it is. Like, and it's also like it's all to me. It was also a signal too, like, yo, we are back in our land to serve our God. Like this is who we are. This is what we should be. We're here. We're back to serve our God. Okay, and so now
Verse 8.
Yeah, so I got to switch to King James for a second. Okay, so in verse
8.
7?
8.
8? Okay. It's the UK version, that's why. No disrespect to the UK. Okay, now in the second month of the second year of their coming to the house of God at Jerusalem, Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, Jeshua, the son of Jozadak, and the rest of their brethren, the priests and the Levites, and all those who came out of captivity to Jerusalem, began work on and appointed the Levites from 20 years old and above to oversee the work of the house of the Lord. Then Jeshua with his sons and brothers, Kadmiel with his sons, and the sons of Judah arose as one to oversee those working on the house of God. The sons of Henadad with their sons and their brethren, the Levites. When the builders laid the foundation of the temple of the Lord, the priests stood in their apparel with trumpets, and the Levites and the sons of Asaph with cymbals to praise the Lord according to the ordinance of David, king of Israel. And they sang responsively, praising and giving thanks to the Lord, for he is good, for his mercies endure forever towards Israel. And you could essentially say they were singing a psalms.
Yeah, Asaph of Psalms. So
you know, Asaph used to get down too.
Yeah, some people believe that his Psalms might not have been 100% from him, but from his children or from his
We see too, like I said, the sons of Asaph. So
right, but even in the book of Psalms, he have a little section, I think maybe like 5 or so Psalms, where he have his portion in that book too. And so that's why, like, even some of these words, they sound familiar. For he is good, for his mercy endures forever toward Israel. That sounds like a psalm, sound like a verse straight out of Psalms.
Yeah.
And I think they have one.
Yeah, that is in Psalms. Like there's a whole chapter in Psalms where literally every line ends in that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Then all the people shouted with a great shout. And when they praised the Lord because of the foundation of the house of the Lord was laid. But many of the priests and the Levites and the heads of the fathers' houses, the old men who had seen the first temple, wept with a loud voice when the foundation of the temple was laid before their eyes. Yet many shouted aloud for joy, so that the people could not discern the noise of the shout from joy or the noise of weeping of the people. For the people shouted with a loud shout, and the sound was heard far off. So you got people crying, and you got people exuberant.
Praising, yeah. Mixed review, but it all sounds the same. It's like when Moses.
I was thinking the same thing, bro. Moses and Joshua coming back down the mountain, bro. Joshua was like, "Oh, it's the sound of war." I was like, "No, they're partying."
War, that's debauchery.
It's one shout though. It could be
It's a shout
in many ways.
For real.
Oh my! So, what's your thoughts on that?
I was wondering though. I'm like, okay, because when I read this, I was like, bro, is foundation used in a different way? Like, because for me, the foundation, that's the bottom, that's the floor. You see what I'm saying? They just lay that floor.
I say we ain't even start yet.
I like the foundation and people crying. You know what I mean? Like I was like, because okay, so we know that this temple is, people are going to marvel more at Solomon's temple.
Mm-hmm.
First time, it's like, like how they say, like the sequel usually not better than the original.
Mm-hmm.
When we have these movies and they try to remake it or, excuse me, whatever, and it's like, bro, it pales in comparison.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that's what's happening here. But it's just the foundation. You know what I mean? So it's like, to me, is that really what's happening? They're obviously sad. The older men, you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously have something to do with the first temple. But is it because it's smaller? You know what I'm saying? Is it because they already start off wrong?
I just think it's emotional. Because now let's even like paint the scene just in these last like couple of verses, right? They seeing something they haven't seen in years, and it brings them back to like the glory days, right? You're seeing the priests dressed in their garments with their trumpets. None of this was happening in Babylon. And quite honestly, if you was there before you got taken into captivity, this was even happening with the last two kings.
That's true.
So we going back to something like, like literally like 80 something years ago now at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and then it's like all the emotions that come along with it. You back in your home city, like you back in your home city. So now all the emotions of what's happened would happen before running back to you. The temple is destroyed. That's already a different emotional connection because what the temple actually meant to you guys back then. Now you're seeing like, oh, like we're at the point where we have to rebuild the temple literally from its foundation. That means like you literally started from the ground up. You know what I'm saying? So like now to me like again, this is all speculation, right? But like now you're seeing like the memories are like, oh, the sins and the atrocities we committed, the state of Israel, Judah back then. And now like here is where we're at, where we actually have to come back. But like, thank God we're actually back here. We overcame the years of exile. And now we're actually at the point where we actually can rebuild our temple. So I think it's like all the emotional aspect of it for the older generation. You just have to like come to grips with all this. Like if you ever seen someone like visit a place that a lot of memories were in, and even could be fond memories, but they're back there and they're just crying because it's like,
right.
It's the emotional connection I have with this thing now. Like, like I remembered when I was probably like 5 and coming here with my grandparents or my parents and coming here to offer sacrifices. And now look at it, like, but now we're back. Now I'm back here experiencing. Now we have a chance to make it right. The young people, they don't have this emotional connection. They're just happy to be out of Babylon, out of Persia.
Right, it's a new for them. And the author doesn't tell us if there is weeping tears of joy or sorrow, but they say weeping. But it's like the comparison to the younger generation as being joyous, it leads you to assume joy, that they're not crying out of joy. But I'll put it like this, right? You might have, I have a friend, right, who got into a car accident and their car was totaled.
Mercy.
Now they get paid because it wasn't their fault. They had good insurance. And
am I this friend?
No.
You saw no. I'm like that, Nakhaz.
I wouldn't do you like that. But
sounds pretty familiar.
Right. No, so they get money, and someone who really into cars and is really close to them suggested that they get a newer version of their car, right? But important in the Bahamas, you gotta have time on your hands. You understand what I'm saying? And so, even though they have this person have an opportunity to get a new car, it's frustrating for them because they missed their old car. You understand what I'm saying? And so the potential, they have a potential of having something even better. You see what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is, they was quite content with their old car. You understand what I'm saying? And so, like, to me, that felt like the perfect analogy, because these old men, whether they crying for tears of joy, tears of sorrow, tears of reminiscence, the fact of the matter is, it's an emotional burden that they feel when they consider this new temple compared to their old temple. Now, one would say, excuse me, if we just never lost our temple, we would have never been in this predicament. So regardless if the temple could be better or not, like our first temple was perfectly fine. You see what I said?
Like a feeling of guilt could be over them too. Like quite literally, our generation was the reason why we went into exile. Now, again, we have a couple hundred years of baggage on us too, but it's like we were the ones. You know what I'm saying? Like, everyone's saying like it ain't had to be you. It ain't had to be that. Like y'all, it happened with us. So
right, and then even having been through stuff, bro. Anybody who's through something traumatic or like emotionally heavy, you could still think about that and cry, bro. Like you could say, "Boy, I ain't incarcerated no more," but just thinking about them years, it heavy on me. Like I free, You would think I crying because like tears of joy because I free, but no, I crying because of the journey, bro. The journey was so toxic towards me, and I'm reflecting on that. You know what I mean? And so I know, but one thing just popped in my head, bro. You know how amazing it would have been, bro, if we had Solomon's Temple today. Like in my adult life,
I'd be interested to see that even to make it, way. Like,
no, but I'm saying
it'd be awesome to go to Solomon's Temple.
That's what I'm saying. So just like, let's say it did make it like all these years, God preserve it, and they didn't stray away. Cool. But in my older years, I used to think that the older I get, the more harder to please I would be. So, when we was when we hit 18, or when we were of age, just drive the car. Your parents lend you the car, or you have your own car. These type of things was like ecstatic, bro, at the time. Like, bro, like I get to drive, you see what I'm saying? Or like the first time you go on a road trip, or like certain news that you had, like knew this, knew that. It was like groundbreaking for you at the time. So in my mind, I'm like, bro, the more I get used to doing these things, the harder it is to please me. You understand what I'm saying? Because sometimes I get the ceiling of all the new things he can do, bro. Me and you, I ain't gonna be the one to say, the first time I ride in a spaceship, or you know what I mean, or first time I go onto the moon. I stop in my first is after a while. You see what I said? And so, but getting the last couple of years, I realized that human beings are not that hard to please, bro. Like, but people has come to our country and look at the forts, bro, the cannons, and they just be like, whoa, like, you know what I mean? Like tourists, you see them taking pictures and things. And I just like, bro, these old rusty cannon thing.
Like that do it for you, buddy?
That do it for you? But you should see me right there in Mexico taking pictures. Oh, look out into the roof. Look at you see what I said? Like, I right there in Dubai, like, whoa, the architecture, all the ancient architecture. You see what I said? And so it's like, bro, as human beings, we marvel at the things that the generations before us accomplish. You know what I mean? Because even archaic things are fascinating to us. We get big bazookas and nukes and things, but we looking at that cannon, like this big piece of lead. You see what I saying? That shooting lead. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and we just like, wow, So like, let's think about the temple, bro. Like you were showing me pictures of the Taj Mahal. Obviously, that's far more modern than this temple. Well, Solomon's temple would have been, right? Excuse me. But people even go to Jerusalem now, bro, just to see regular stuff that ain't like, just to see like how the civilization used to just live back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Walter White, he's a pastor. Just for those who don't know, he's a pastor, lecturer, stuff like that. But he say it out. He gone to Jerusalem. He gone in this cave in Bethlehem, and it was like, this is the cave where Jesus was born. Right here, this was the stable, right? And he say, that's so interesting, because the last cave I just come from, they say that's the one where Jesus was born.
I think he have a funny voice too, ladies and gentlemen. So I just couldn't get in his voice.
I was like, wait, tourism is tourism no matter where you go, bro.
Fast. You come to the Bahamas, but they can show you where where Columbus land, if you're serious.
Only him is serious.
I think you'd be right in Nassau.
This is where the first Lucayans was.
Exactly.
My brother said, "Wait, some people rather hear our story than to hear no story." You see what I'm saying? So can't go there with your hand swinging, but get him something.
But it's a tangent, right? But it's like a guy at work today tried to tell me that humans couldn't see blue.
Interesting. You know,
That's all I say.
But I don't want to dig deep into this, right? But it's like, well, I have a friend who's colorblind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, colorblind and tone deaf, these are things that people just say hyperbolically.
Mm-hmm.
Like if some people don't really be tone deaf, but sometimes some people can't hold their notes, so you say, oh, they tone deaf or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one day I was really sitting there thinking like, bro, if I see this as pink and you see this as white, right? But like, I just wonder how these conversations go on. If you like, if it was a few people who was colorblind and they're like, bro, this is white, bro. And you're like, no, that's pink. You remember the dress?
Yeah. The dress,
like
is it black and is it white or is it white and black or no, white and gold and black and blue?
Right, because I just feel like visually, it's such a personal thing. Like, how could you prove that? If I sincerely saying, bro, this is white to me, but everyone like, but it's pink, bro. It's pink. I like, y'all joking, man. You know what I mean? I can't prove that. So I just like, bro, how you could say, how would we know that people wasn't seeing blue, bro? Like, how would we know?
It's a big tangent. It's a big tangent.
But,
oh my. But going back to the temple, I do think it's emotional for like the older generation from the newer generation. I mean, like you would go back to like Bahamians, right? You have people talking about like the Burma Road riot, how things were with before we gained our independence, and even after somebody's saying so nostalgic to them. They look at old Collins Wall, what that meant, that separation meant to them. I used to park by Collins Wall every Saturday by church. It didn't mean nothing to me, right? But I never, you know what I'm saying? I never really lived through when people couldn't cross Collins Wall.
Segregated. Yeah, for those who don't know, it was a sect. Believe it or not, bro, it's hard to believe, dog, because the Bahamas is so predominantly black. But it was a time when, you know, parts of the island was segregated and you couldn't cross over. It's similar to America, you know what I'm saying? So, like the older generation of Bahamas, they are very familiar with that, you know?
Exactly. So certain things just elicit emotional responses that if you never experience it, you just wouldn't get it. But at the same time, a joyous moment for someone could also be a moment of reflection and sorrow for someone else. So it's all about the perspective.
Very true. Man, I think I would have been one of them old men right there crying. I'd have been right there crying. Like, man, that's sick, bro. But dog, I ain't lying. Like me, I just beat myself up, you know, bro. It's like, I remember, and this is, I hope I try to keep this short. I remember I had waited till last minute to take an exam. We had 2 tries on this exam. I waited till the last day to do it, right? So I don't even think, I used my first try early in the week. And let's say the exam closed at like 12 p.m. on Friday. I waited at like 10:30 or 11 to do it, right? I get to doing it, but I was staying at my friend's house, and a big altercation break out outside, bro. And it required everybody to try to break up this altercation, bro. You understand what I'm saying? And but it take me so off guard, I just run outside because this is people I know was involved. So I breaking it up, this and that. So, you know, them things don't be quick. You know, break it up, everybody laugh, everybody talk about it. We trying to resolve this issue. I come back to the computer and I fail the test, bro. You see what I said? And I was like, wow, bro. I was so mad, bro. Like, I just was like, that really was pressing on me. Because I already take the test the first time. I know the questions. You see what I said? I was able to better prepare or whatever. And I tell my boy, I was talking to my boy who house it was, and he said, "Boy, I can tell you, like, come on with me, tell me." He said, "But ain't nothing you can do with it now, bro." He said, "Ain't nothing you can do with that right now." And that did not comfort me whatsoever, but it was true. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm like, bro, I can worry. I can take this worriness because, like I said, it's Friday. I can take this burden into the Sabbath, but that wouldn't change nothing. You understand what I'm saying? So some people could switch it on and off. They could compartmentalize and they could see how worrying does not change the situation. And they could see that this is my now reality. Let me act accordingly. You know, that would be my advice to the elders, bro. That time gone, this was 80 plus years ago. Let's just move forward and make the best out of it, right? But even knowing myself, I would not be able to help how it make me feel to be in this new reality, you know? Mm-hmm. But even simple stuff like, let's say hypothetically Bitcoin, right? Let's say you tell me, bro, invest in Bitcoin at a certain time, right? I say, yeah, don't worry about it. I can do it. The time pass and I miss my window and it's a big payout. I could be like, oh, I should invest. You know what I mean? I shoulda. That type of thing is killing me. When I know it was completely in my power, but I lost it. It slipped through my fingertips. And I think that's the perspective of the elders. We had all this. I shoulda cherished. We should do better. We should have been obedient. You know what I mean? And now we have to build something that was already built. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This thing was built hundreds of years before us, bro. Nah, it's our responsibility to redo it.
Yeah, right? That's very true.
Yeah.
All right, so now in chapter 4, now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the descendants of the captivity were building the temple of the Lord in Israel, they came to Zerubbabel and the heads of their fathers' houses and said to them, let us build with you, for we seek your God as you do. And we have sacrificed to him since the days of Esarhaddon, king of Assyria, who brought us here. But Zerubbabel and Jeshua and the rest of the heads of the fathers of the houses of Israel said to them, you may do nothing with us to rebuild the house for our God, but we alone will build to the Lord God of Israel, the king of Cyrus, as the king of Cyrus, king of Persia, has commanded us. Then the people of the land tried to discourage the people of Judah. They troubled them in building and hired counselors against them to frustrate their purpose all the days of Cyrus, king of Persia, even until the reign of Darius, king of Persia.
So, brothers and sisters, that was verse 4 and 5. That was a summary of everything that's going to be happening for the next few kings. So the command was given to Artaxerxes. So up until now, we was during the reign of Artaxerxes. You understand what I'm saying? And but they basically saying this could happen up until the days of King Darius, however many kings after this. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I go to the first point, the last chapter. They build their idols. They built their altars. It's the Israelites. They built their altars to God, and while they do it, they was afraid still because there was hostility in the land that's around them. You know, so you could see these people. They wasn't really too much liking these Jews or these Israelites. You know.
But the funny thing about it is, right? I mean, even more backstory, right? Remember when the Babylonians first came, right? They left the poor and desolate there, and they also made some Babylonians go there and live. They started to get attacked by lions, ironically so, and so they sent. They asked one of the who was like one of the priests, Judah priests, to go back and teach them how to like obey God, like respect God and honor God. So these people, when they came and say, hey, let us build this temple with you, we also honor and respect your God. It's interesting, right? But again, they were like, you reject them, and I'm like, all right, cool. You don't want us help build your temple? All right, we can make this hard for you. We come here trying to help.
Oh, so you thinking these was
you scoff at us.
So you thinking these was other Israelites?
I say it might be like the mixed people, like, because I mean, like the obviously the Babylonians was probably interbred with the people who was left. So this might be like, I don't want to say half breed, that sounds wrong, but this might just be like the intermarried descendants. I mean, quite honestly, these are the intermarried descendants who were left.
I want to make a correction that I said earlier. I keep saying Artaxerxes, but it was Cyrus. Because the book started by saying in the days of Cyrus, they was sent back or whatever. So Cyrus, from Cyrus, and they even say it just now. That's what made me look back. But Cyrus is the Persian king during this time. So I guess that makes sense too. And that's why there's that's why in the book of Chronicles and these books they keep saying who these people are, who everyone is and every family, so that when they list a name here, you can go back and say, oh, this was from the tribe of whatever. You know what I'm saying?
And so you have another point? So I mean, one more thing to point out. No, I can't remember which episode this was. Probably like 6, 7, 8 episodes ago, someplace around. I know you throw it a range, right? But like in context too, because we even talked about that, and we even talked about this in that episode too. Now the caveat is, these people were worshiping God in an incorrect way, even though they didn't know that. So now, all these years they've been worshiping without priests and worshiping without temple. But it's a caveat because they were worshiping God in an incorrect way, but that's the way they were taught. And so now to the Jewish perspective, bro, y'all ain't even doing it right. So how could we let y'all help us? But y'all ain't even worshiping the same God. But because they worship it in a different way, but they doing what they were worshiping the way they knew in all sincerity, but it was probably wrong. And the Jews look at it like, yo, y'all don't even know what y'all doing. We let y'all interrupt. So I just want to set that context around, because if you go back and say, okay, who were these people who were left? And you can see these were the Babylonians because they're like, we worship the same God as you. And so that's where it gets a little interesting. That's what made me go back and who were these people who worship the same God as them? Because it could be an honest statement, but
that would make so much sense, bro. That would make so much sense. I don't know, because it just say enemies of Israel, but it don't say that they not those who were left behind.
I mean, honestly, you gotta realize the Israelites can even consider the Samaritans enemies,
right?
And the Samaritans were,
and the Samaritans were Israelites.
So it's just interesting, just trying to identify who those people were. I could be completely wrong, but I think they're a strong candidate. I'll say that I submit these people as a strong candidate, given based on what they said and the context of what happened to the people who were left.
More will be revealed.
So now in verse 6, in the reign of Ahasuerus, in the beginning of his reign, they wrote an accusation against the inhabitants of Judah and Jerusalem. In the days of Artaxerxes, also, Beshlam, Mithridath, Tabal, and the rest of their companions wrote to Artaxerxes, king of Persia, and the latter was written in Aramaic script and translated into the Aramaic language. Rehum, the commander, and Shimshai, the scribe, wrote a letter against Jerusalem, the king of Artaxerxes, in this fashion. From Rehum, the commander, Shimshai, the scribe, and to the rest of their companions. Representatives of the Danites, the Ashparshites, the Tarpalites, and the people of Persia, and Iraq and Babylon and Shushan, the Devites and the Elamites, and the rest of the nations whom the great and noble Osnapper took captive and settled in the cities of Samaria and the marina beyond the river, and so forth. This was a copy of the letter which they sent in. Oh, okay, geez. To the king of Artaxerxes, from your servants, the men of the region beyond the river, and so forth. Let it be known to the king that the Jews who came up from you have come to us at Jerusalem and are building the rebellious and evil city. And they are finishing its walls and repairing the foundations. Let it be known to the king that if the city is built and the walls completed, they will not pay tax, tribute, or custom to the king's treasury will be diminished. Now, because we receive support from the palace, it was not proper for us to see the king's dishonor. Therefore, we have sent and informed the king that search may be made in the book of the records of your fathers, and you will find in the book of the records and know that this city is a rebellious city, harmful to kings and providences, and they have incited sedition within the city in former times, for which cause the city was destroyed. We informed the king that if the cities were built and the walls completed, the result will be that you will have no dominion beyond this river. The king sent an answer to Raham the commander and to Shimshai the scribe, to the rest of their companions who dwell in Samaria, and to the remainder beyond the river. Peace, and so forth. The letter which you sent to us has clearly been read before me, and I gave the command, and a search has been made, and it was found that this city in former times has revolted against kings, and rebellion and sedition has been fostered in it. There have also been mighty kings over Jerusalem who have ruled over all the region beyond the river, and tax and tribute custom were paid to them. Now give the command to make these men cease, that the city may not be rebuilt until the command is given by me. Take heed now that you do not fail to do this. Why should damage increase to hurt of the kings? Now when a copy of the king's Artaxerxes' letter was read before Raham, Shimshai the scribe, and their companions, they went up in haste to Jerusalem against the Jews by force of arms and made them cease. That's the work of the house of God, which is at Jerusalem ceased, and it was discontinued until the second year of the reign of Darius, king of Persia.
Okay, so just to continue on a point that was made earlier, verse 17, the rest of their companions who dwell in Samaria. So they're saying to Shimshai the scribe, to the rest of their blah, 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 blah. So these were Samaritans. You understand what I'm saying? Case in point. So these were people from the northern kingdom. So these were Israelites. You know, these were
the thing about the northern kingdom was the first kingdom that got sacked. And
right. So they got captive. So let me put it like this to the listeners. Imagine if Judah had never left Babylon. You understand what I'm saying? And they just become one people. You understand what I'm saying? That's what the Samaritans had become, because when they were conquered, they were never released. And that's it. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like they have a lot of Israelites who was there. You know, the 10 tribes were conquered, but other nations conquered them. So I think the Syrians were the one, or maybe the Assyrians want to conquer them. And so they were subjected to Syrian culture. And now they are enemies of Israel. Gives it plenty context. And they are making it their life's duty to destroy. So now these were Samaritans, right? But now they're making it their life duty. They're making it their life duty to be enemies of Judah, bro. That's crazy. I think that's hate, bro. Like, not hate as in like strife and I hate you, right? But I try to use it in the way we use it. Oh, you hating on someone, right?
Yeah.
Y'all some haters, bro.
No, they definitely
they probably did hate them too, you know. But y'all really some haters, bro. Y'all some hate, like, y'all snitches, bro.
I really wonder though, like, okay, had the Jews, this is where I get it. Okay, had the Jews, Judah, the people who came back, Judah and Benjamin. It's so funny, right? Because it's just the context, right? Because you realize what was the last two chapters saying? The Judah and Benjamin, when Judah and Benjamin returned, that's even that's like that was like an indication right there who we were referring to. We were referring to the southern kingdom. When you really think about it, right? Because who was Judah and Benjamin? That's the southern kingdom.
The kingdom, yeah.
So when they came back, perfect. And so I just wonder, like, had they let them rebuild the temple, would some of the animosity between the Samaritans and the Jews, would some of that have dissipated? Like this, because think about it. Right? When the kingdom split between north and south, who was it? Jeroboam? his whole thing was like, bro, I'm not letting you guys go to Jerusalem to worship in that temple.
Right.
I'm not letting you guys do it. So this new temple might have even been an olive branch of sorts that could have been extended to the southern kingdom. Like, hey, we both went through some dark times. Let's come back and worship. Now, this is just speculation. I'm just wondering, like, what probably could have happened. Obviously, you never can know it because it ain't ever happened. But it's just interesting, right? Because like now they have an opportunity. Because think about it, now we have an opportunity to actually help not only rebuild the temple, but take part in its worship when it's completed. Something our ancestors were denied for centuries.
That's true, but I see, this is my thing. Jeroboam was like, don't go down there for no reason, right?
Agreed.
But we get to a point where Ahab's was it Ahab's daughter? But anyway, we had a point where the king,
where they almost like intermarry almost.
right.
Where they get a little messy.
The king of one nation had a sister who married the king of another nation. You understand? Of the king of one of the kingdoms, the southern or northern, had a sister who married the king of the other one, who's northern or southern or whatever. And so my thing is, there has been unions since Jeroboam. When
valid point.
Right. You remember when they went to go fight, who did they fight? The Edomites, I think. And they went to Elisha. The three kings was Edom with them? Edom was with them, I think.
Yeah.
It was right. So it was the king of Edom, the king of the northern, and the king of the southern kingdom. And Elisha was like, I don't rock with you, bro. Northern kingdom king, I don't rock with you. I think it was Jehoshaphat was the king of the southern kingdom. And he was like, bro, only because of Jehoshaphat, I even minister to y'all right now. You feel me? So it's been times since Jeroboam where there was alliances, right? But my thing is, we don't have evidence that the northern kingdom ever cared to worship at the temple of the southern kingdom.
You don't think that was poetic though? That the Edomites was with them? Now, granted, was it really the Edomites? I can't remember right now, right? But it's like Esau and Jacob reunited.
Yeah,
that's really what it is right there. It's like the brothers reunited because you have both the two kings that represent the brothers.
Yeah,
I mean who represent Israel, and you got the Edomites who represent Esau. It's like, oh, good job.
Yeah, they was warring against So the three kings. Israel.
It was warring against Assyria, right?
I think it was Moab.
Oh yeah, them too. Yeah, they
It's against the Moabites. Yeah, and remember they carry on too bad with the Moabites.
Oh why? That I don't even know why it just hit me. It didn't hit me in that episode, but that's just poetic.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, the king of Israel went with 2 Kings 3 verse 9. So the king of Israel went with the king of Judah and the king of Edom. And they fetched the compass of 7 days journey. Yeah, boy. The whole gang, bro. Jacob and Esau represented.
Exactly. That's wild. That's wild.
That's crazy, bro.
But yeah, I mean, but you bring a good point. Like if they had chances to unify the kingdom, but I mean, that would have also been like almost against prophecy because God told.
No, so the kingdoms didn't have to be unified, but the worship could have been. You understand what I'm saying? So we could have multiple nations that worship the same God. You know what I'm saying? But it's like it just didn't give the impression that the northern kingdom, like not the monarchy, but the people of that kingdom, of that nation, it just didn't give off that they cared about that. You know what I'm saying? Like at all. So Jeroboam implement that, right? But after, let's say, 100, 200 years now, it get to a point where we just a whole different religion, straight up. We have our own temple. You know what I'm saying? They probably took pride in their temple. And so now, after all of this, y'all have your understanding of our temple and y'all understanding of your temple. Unless it's sincere, why are y'all coming to us if y'all are clear enemies of us. You understand what I'm saying? I can't even trust her. I can't trust her. But it's so crazy because we have the king of Persia who has no knowledge of the history of these nations, for real. Because it's like when if you and I are friends turn foes, right? And now I want to harm you, but I was once close to you. So I know all of your secrets. You see what I say? Like I know the stuff that you don't want no one to know. That was only between me and you. And I spilling everything. Because Samaria was in the same predicament as them. They revolt against more kings than Israel. You understand what I say? And I can't even really think how much kings Israel revolt against, except but they did revolt against Nebuchadnezzar. That was Zerubbabel, I think. I think that was his name, the last king at the time. But other than that, the Northern Kingdom, but they kill more kings, bro. But they have like 4 kings who only reign for a year or less because almost every, I think it's every king who usurped the throne, the people end up killing him. You understand what I'm saying? Like straight up, that's just how it is in the Northern Kingdom. And so there's the pot calling the kettle black. But the difference is Samaria, they don't have anything to lose because they ain't building no temple. Only the Southern Kingdom have something to lose. So they go on to Darius and say, "Boy, look at the history." But so that's so treacherous because y'all not wrong, but y'all being deceptive.
Yeah, it's like this. It's deception at its finest because like it's one thing where people say it's like a lawyer case, bro. This is why happy I ain't a lawyer because you could take. I don't want to bash anyone's profession, but it's like you taking statements, right? And you're like, okay, I know when this is read and recovered, it's going to be interpreted this way, even though the truth of the matter is something different. But without that extra context, look at this, you're like, oh, this looks pretty bad.
On
these
paper?
Like on paper, they win that one.
Yeah.
It's like on paper, they win that one. And it's like, it's very deceptive. It's very deceptive. But that's the world we live in even today, man.
Yeah, politics. And they won. They won, bro, because the king surely did renege.
Yeah, but they win the battle. They win that battle hands down. They win that battle.
All right.
Think about what the people have been feeling in this time too. Like, yo, it was prophesied that Zerubbabel would be the one to come back and lead these people and build the temple. And God even reassured them that this would happen, right? But it's like, imagine you come there, all right, we get off to a good start, and now we meet this opposition. And now it's like, all right, the king who was once on our side gave us his word, but now he took it back. And so now, are we truly going to finish this temple? We can't do nothing until we get word to start again. But it's interesting.
Yeah, not even sneak and build no temple, bro.
well, it's interesting, right? Because technically, like this section here, they were more so telling them, hey, yo, we don't want you to rebuild the city and the city walls. Like, yo, y'all ain't gonna rebuild Jerusalem, period. Like, it's even more just a temple right now. Y'all ain't rebuilding Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Like, that's wild. But overall thoughts on this chapters.
So, like I did say, 1 step forward, 2 step back type situation. That's what this remind me of. You all had a step in the right direction. We saw progress. But I can say 2 step forward, 1 step back, basically. So y'all have progress because y'all have privacy, basically. Y'all are able to live in a space amongst each other. You understand what I'm saying? But it's like we could see that it was very hostile towards you. And you know what? This was the answer that I needed. For a long while, I wondered, truthfully, what was the meaning behind the tension between the Samaritans and the Jews? All through the New Testament, you see the tension. You watch The Chosen or any of these Bible depictions of Jesus' time, that is a part of the story.
Well, just started Good Samaritan itself. You're like, oh.
The Good Samaritan. And it's like the context, the Good Samaritan. Like you see what I say? So it's like, why do they have to say the good Samaritan? You know
Like
what I mean? Why they
Samaritans
can't
can be good.
exactly? You see what I say? Like why they couldn't just say the good person? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? No, they saying it's a good Samaritan. You feel me? And I know that story going hard when Jesus said that. I know that story going platinum when Jesus said that because people's like, because it's like it's
You don't even
shock
have to,
value,
yeah, because you don't even have to say, you could just say like a good common person come by, bro.
right?
And it would have had arguably almost the same effect, but no, we taking it one step further. But some people, someone y'all despise
Mm-hmm.
was the person who actually
Mm-hmm.
helped. Someone
It's
you have
more,
hatred in your heart for. So now it's like you have no problem saying, oh yeah, the common person could do good because deep down y'all don't really even like the Pharisees and the Levites if we just being honest.
mm-hmm.
But to give the credit to someone you despise and was like,
Mm-hmm.
I guess he did the good act, but it
Hmm. But and I'll put you in a situation,
a moral dilemma.
a moral dilemma, bro.
Because you're fighting against yourself. You're like, wait, there's no way I can bring myself to side with this person, or even out of the words, like, yeah, they did good. Like some good came out of Samaria.
I just laughing at when like politics, right? Some people so polarized in politics, bro. You could show them something good from the other side,
But then
and
when
they
here,
just
wait, and that's what's wrong with society today, bro. Oh my goodness, that's a tangent in itself. That's what's just wrong with society, bro. Like when you so comfortable in your own echo chamber that the next side can't even do no good, something's wrong.
Yep,
Something's wrong.
100%. So I'll be honest with you. This giving me plenty context. This chapter, Rachel,
Mm-hmm.
this one puzzle piece that I needed, bro. I needed this because it's like I can't. I need it, bro. Like my story was incomplete because I could say how Jesus was radical because he
Mm-hmm.
preached to the Samaritans, and
Mm-hmm.
he part of his message was to go to the Gentiles and
Mm-hmm.
everybody, salvation for all,
Mm-hmm.
like politics, Medicaid for all, or whatever, right? Like salvation for all, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the Gentiles, you all group them as all people who ain't Jews or Samaritans. You see what I say? Like it's Jews, it's Samaritans, and it's Gentiles, everybody else. You see what I
Yeah.
said? For real, like in the New Testament, they don't really get too deep. I mean, they mention Romans, but that also comes under Gentiles. But I just like, what was the hostility for the Samaritans? We have Simon of Cyrene, right? We have the Ethiopian eunuch. You know, we have people who are from other nations listed in the New Testament. You see what I'm saying? Like during Jesus' time, but we
Mm-hmm.
don't have nobody who was so discriminated against like the Samaritans. And so now, if we think about it, when I just get my freedom, I ain't bothering no one. I over here trying to make things right with God, and you're all trying to scare us. Y'all y'all intimidating us. Y'all claiming they want to help us. We don't know if it's a trick. You know, y'all might be trying to rob us and all type of thing. And then on top of that, y'all write a letter to the king and cause us to stop all our work from being done. So this generation, old and young, they just sitting around with their dreams crushed because they were so happy just a chapter ago. We were
Mm-hmm.
so happy, bro. We getting to rebuild, bro. From a foundation, they was happy. Imagine when that wall did finally come up. How happy and how bro. It's like getting a new spot, bro. When you get into that new apartment, into that house or whatever, bro, it's just happiness, bro. You
Mm-hmm.
feel me? Like this, the little things that I was talking about earlier in life, bro. Like the little things, like a new car or a new whatever, right? This a
Mm-hmm.
new beginning for y'all. And the Samaritans just crush that. They just take that away from y'all, bro. It dangling over y'all head. They just snatch it away. You see what I said? Like that type of thing
Mm-hmm.
can cause generational animosity.
But that's exactly what it did. Because think about it now, this generation, Man, we even see this in the Bahamas. Anyway, I said a generation would rise up attentions against a different type of group of people, and they pass it on to their kids. Now, your kids almost disliking these people and don't even know why.
Yeah, they don't. They
But
don't
they
have the
just know.
concept.
They just know. Well, my parents ain't like them. My grandparents ain't like them. My great grandparents ain't like them. So, whatever they do back then, but it didn't even matter. But I ain't like them.
Mm.
Oh my! But that's essentially what happens. Now we have this tensions and the stories like you wouldn't believe what they did. They caused a stop at our temple, but by the goodness of our God, we still got it done. These people are no good. No good to come from Samaria, and that just get passed on down the generation. The story. This animosity just lay it on until the original reason is lost, but those feelings are just passed down.
And the feelings is mutual. The feelings is mutual, bro. So from this vantage point, the Samaritans started. You see what I'm saying? I don't know what the tension was before this. You understand what I'm saying? Because I thought they was still maybe
But
when you argue when
you look at the Samaritan's perspective, like all we want to do is help you out build the temple, but we want to worship God too.
Samaritans might even argue that when we was captive, y'all ain't even try help us. You know what I
Right?
mean? Like,
So and again, it's like who's right, who's wrong? Who's right and who's wrong in the situation? Like it's one of those things where there's no right answer.
and I found that a lot of this generational nation against nation, culture against culture, that's usually the case.
Boy.
It's usually the case, bro.
Oh boy. This one came home.
You gotta keep it relevant now.
Boy, the Bible is always relevant.
For real. And so, man, overall, I think this is a very pivotal part of the story because, I mean, right now we just bridging the gap between 2 Kings, 2 Chronicles, and Jesus. You see what I'm saying? So this would happen in the interim after Babylon, you know? And so by the time we get to the New Testament, obviously they back in their nation. They have a whole new set of people ruling over them, the Romans. But how did they get to that point, you know? They had a temple. How did they get to that point? You know, so this the foundation, pun intended, of the temple and the city of Jerusalem being rebuilt. King Cyrus issued a decree freeing the Jews so that they can rebuild their city and their temple. However, the enemies of the Jews were on a mission to frustrate their efforts for the duration of Cyrus's reign. And then, when Artaxerxes became king, those same enemies took things further. They convinced Artaxerxes to cease the rebuilding of Jerusalem. But we'll talk more about that on the next episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Tonight's episode included voice acting by your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz. Remember to go ahead and research on your own in order to get a more firm understanding of tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can follow us on social media at A Breath of Fresh Air Pod on Instagram and BOFAPOD on Twitter. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next week.